You are listening to the Intelligent Vocalist Podcast, episode 173.
Welcome to the Intelligent Vocalist with John Henny. This is the podcast dedicated to help you be a smarter, better, more informed singer. And now, your host for the Intelligent Vocalist, John Henny.
Hey there, this is John Henny. Welcome back to another episode of The Intelligent Vocalist. I do so appreciate you spending your precious listening time with me. Today, I am very happy to have back to the podcast Dr. Reena Gupta. Reena is one of the premier ear, nose, and throat doctors in Los Angeles. She works with A-level singers, actors, voiceover actors, and she is just a wonderful voice educator. She's very open, always willing to share knowledge. You can find her online. She does wonderful case studies that she makes available to the general public. And she's really, really dedicated to helping singers everywhere. And I wanted to have Reena on during this pandemic just to revisit vocal health, to talk about what she's doing, her work, being able to work with singers remotely and help singers all around the world, as well as the upcoming vocal conference called the Voice Forum. I am releasing this podcast on Friday, May 1st, which is exactly 2 weeks before the forum launches. And you're going to want to get tickets to this. I really can't think of another conference that has speakers of this level that's available to the general public and is really focused on singers and performers. It's not a conference for voice professionals, although it's an all-star lineup, I will tell you. And for the first time, this conference is online. So you've got to jump on this. We talk about the conference. If you want more information, just go to johnhenny.com/173 for episode 173, and I'll have links there. You can also go to voiceforumconference.com if you have a good memory and can remember to type that in, or you're not driving. But hey, who's driving these days anyway? And you can get all the information, and you can get in on some of the most amazing voice education in the world. It really is world class. So without further ado, I bring you Dr. Reena Gupta. I am here with Dr. Reena Gupta. Reena, welcome.
Thank you.
So let me ask you, how are things during this crazy time?
That's the best adjective. They are absolutely crazy. As we were sort of chatting about it, it's like the best laid plans, and I'm a planner and I am a projector into the future, and I have things lined up, and those of us who plan just saw what happens to plans. They just all blow up, and all of a sudden you're having to adapt and adjust, and it's been okay, but it's definitely hard when you know things were supposed to go a certain way and you were going to ensure they went that way. And yeah, the world didn't go with that.
No, it's almost like this is if you want to take a lesson from it, one of the key lessons is, man, life will get in the way.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, truly, it's sort of, you would think as a physician that I sort of have that perspective, and I do in the medical world, but in like the business and planning and programming, I don't believe in life getting in the way, but it did me in. This past 2 months have done me in, like they have everyone. Yeah.
And for you, I know that you were in the midst of a huge change in that you're opening up a brand new voice center called the Center for Vocal Health.
I am, yeah. It was supposed to launch April 1st. And again, I had all my ducks in a row, and it was going to be great. And, it is delayed, but what it's created is a really nice opportunity to explore some other avenues that I probably would have delayed doing. So I'm doing telehealth pretty much daily at this point, and I am able to do limited in-person evaluations too. But what the Center for Vocal Health is a dream that I've had for years, to create a vocal health center. I mean, hence the name. It's going to be a place where you can get, as a performing vocal artist, access to all the services that you need. It's not just come in and medicine and surgery, but how can we implement some of the other things that I know my performers have needed? Over 10 years, I've seen how I've had to refer out for certain things, or, you know, where the gaps are and how can I smooth those transitions. So even simple things like having some of the medications that my performers need available in the office is going to be one less stop for my patients. Maybe accessing, again, now that we know that virtual is an option, virtual coaching and manual therapy techniques all in the office at one visit or one coordinated care plan was always a dream of mine. And that's what the center is going to be.
And you mentioned telehealth. Yeah. And I want to talk a little bit more about that, because obviously during the pandemic, so many things have been put on hold or they've moved virtually online. So you are now offering health services online. Tell us a bit about that.
A lot of doctors are doing this, and I hesitated at first because I thought it was going to be a really tough thing for people to accept. Like, how can you provide vocal care through telehealth? So first thing out of the gate is a lot of what I do for my patients who are vocalists they still fall under the general ENT auspices, right? So we'll still be able to handle some of those things. I think that if this had happened 7, 8, 9 years ago, I probably wouldn't be doing vocal telehealth. But what's happened over these past 10 years is I've been able to really refine my ear for both elements in the history that are concerning vocally, as well as the sounds in the voice. So when I'm doing my telehealth, I will have my patients singing or doing whatever task elicits their symptoms. They're still able to say, oh, it hurts here. You know, we get that visual feedback. And so there are select cases where I will say, okay, we're going to try this, and then I need to follow up with you in the office. But I would say the vast majority, we've been really able to make major headway just through telehealth alone. So I've been really excited that people haven't had to delay their care. Obviously, the demand is lower just because performances are shut down and vocalists are going through a really tough time economically right now. But it's actually an opportunity for a lot of them who are coming off the road saying, you know, I've been putting this off. Now I'm home. I'm actually in pretty good shape vocally because I've been resting. I want to start to troubleshoot what I need to do to get back in good shape for when I do go back on the road. So launching those plans virtually in April means that if things start opening up for performances end of summer, they're going to be in top-notch vocal health. So it's an opportunity in disguise.
And is this a service that you offer just to patients in the U.S. or around the world? I've
been talking to people all over the world.
Well, that's fantastic.
There's some limitations, like I can't prescribe necessarily, but that's also a good opportunity to collaborate with local physicians. I've reached out and kind of created that relationship then where we can partner in a person's care. I had somebody, this is the wonders of technology. I had a patient reach out from Guam who I did telehealth, referred her to an excellent vocal therapist in Alabama, and now they're doing therapy online, how many hours apart time zone wise, 14 hours or something crazy like that. And she's getting great access to care that she wouldn't have had otherwise.
That brings up a question I'm curious about. Are you seeing different issues in singers during this time?
I think the two categories are I'm troubleshooting what's been going on this whole time that I haven't made time for. And those are the more standard voice complaints, loss of range, increased vocal effort, vocal inconsistency. Those things are my, usual suspects. But also what's happening because of the pandemic, because we are right about to enter allergy season or we're already fully in it, is people are perceiving these non-typical issues or things that they would kind of not come to attention for. So we're getting a lot more of the allergic stuff, a lot more of the kind of subtle symptoms. And then there's things that are tied to the pandemic itself. There are people who have recovered from a period of drastic and dramatic coughing. They're worried about what that's done to their vocal cords. Their respiratory health has been affected. And we don't know yet what the long-term consequences of it will be, but we do know it's such a pulmonary process, such a lung process that it is affecting vocal stamina and quality in a way that we have to at least look at and attend to. So I'm getting more of those endurance questions than I'm used to. And then also trying to deal with the sequelae of COVID and on the voice with the coughing. You know, what do we have to do to try to remediate or cautiously dip our toes back into that performance world?
Yeah, because this is obviously something singers don't want to get, particularly.
Yeah, I would say everyone falls into that category, of course, as you're saying. But yeah, this threatens your livelihood in a really, really scary way. You know, it's such a dramatic impact on those vocal cords, that amount of coughing. And then if you end up being intubated, if it's prolonged intubations, it's a really terrifying prospect. I will say that so far it's been fine. Truly, those who I know who have recovered, those who I've seen who have recovered, it's a slow process, but that recovery does happen. But I mean, that percentage of people that I've seen compared to the percentage of people who have had it is super small. So, you know, right now we're really targeting its life first. You got to really focus on dealing with the infection itself. And then we'll have to kind of be really creative and really good scientists in the post-COVID period for how we help rehabilitate.
Now, jumping to technology again, you have an upcoming event called the Voice Forum.
Mm-hmm.
And this is pretty exciting because you've been putting on, is it 5 years now?
5 years.
Yeah, these conferences, and I've been privileged to speak at a couple of them, and they're always just fantastic events.
Yeah.
But this is the first year it's all online.
It is. You know, I was saying that Mindy Pack and I, we run this conference every year. 5 years in, it truly has gotten better every year. And last year, it blossomed into this 3-day event. You taught at it. You were so well received, as have all of our teachers always been. And so we sort of we wrapped that event and we're like, we got this now. We've got our program for next year. We know what we're doing. You know, starting, I would say last summer, we were nailing down venues, doing all the things. And then when coronavirus happened, obviously we knew we were canceling the in-person event. And then we were just sort of left trying to decide what to do with all of this vocal education and passion that we have for education. And so it was a big hill to climb for so many reasons. There's limitations to technology that were really intimidating for us. We were worried about our teachers dialing in and their internet crapping out. And now we have these attendees who have paid for a conference ticket who don't get the education. We found an incredible charitable partner with Reattendance. They're this great online platform that is going to be hosting, and we're going to be doing pre-recording to really ensure that you get what you paid for. More than is my bias, but we'll start with you get what you paid for. And, you know, we're not skimping out on the quality of our teachers, despite the fact that it is online and it's our first time out of the gates with that kind of an event. We have world-renowned lecturers in every single aspect of voice coming in. I mean, we're so privileged. They're just agreeing to teach online, which is scary for educators to think, okay, my content is going out there. We had to have all of our attendees sign consent about not violating intellectual property rules and so on. So we're being really respectful and really cautious. But, you know, we are going live in 2 weeks, and it's going to be incredible. We have attendees from, I mean, probably 20 countries at this point. It's really outstanding. We're so excited.
And the lineup you have is so impressive.
Thank you.
And you have some of my absolute favorite educators.
Yeah.
Starting with Mindy Pack.
Yeah.
And then Chris Johnson from the UK, and listeners may know him from the Naked Vocalist podcast.
Yeah.
Listen to that, you absolutely should. Wendy Parr.
Mm-hmm.
Who I know well. Lynn Hilton, who from the UK, and then Dr. Ingo Tietze.
Yeah, Dr. Tietze, his daughter Karen Tietze Cox, sorry. Premier voice scientists and voice therapists, respectively, real leaders in the field, and true scientists. I mean, what they've really done is bridge that gap between laboratory-based voice science and practical application. I know that's knowledge you leverage all the time in your lectures, And this is the foundational stuff that allows teachers to really start to grow their understanding of how this instrument works mechanically, acoustically, and utilizing that to improve sound healthfully. So they are hard to get to for the average person. They're usually teaching at really elite or really expensive vocal events, or both, And so to be able to give the world access to these incredible teachers is really a privilege. And I think that Mindy and I have been really touched by that, because I know that a lot of these teachers, yourself included last year, were signing on the strength of our word that we're going to produce a quality event, that the people who are in attendance are passionate, vocally driven people. And we've been proven right time and again, and this is a big leap of faith. But we are so blessed to have this incredible teaching team. We're bringing on some new teachers as well. Carrie Obert's an incredible speech pathologist. Wendy Vastine, they're going to be teaching about transgender voice and using that as a way to liberate your vocal power. I mean, what an appropriate topic for the days and times that we are in. I'm excited to learn from them. It's just, I'm forgetting people. I know I am. Nick Cooper is going to be an incredible motivational speaker for finding your artistic voice. Even I'm going to jump in there and torture people with my own lectures. But it is an incredible lineup. It is, in my humble opinion, extremely reasonably priced, because one of our real passions is democratizing education, getting it out to everybody. We know what people are going through right now economically. We couldn't just say, all right, no conference, or we're going to do it and we're going to price it as it should be, which is probably in the $700 to $1,000 range. We hit it really hard at a low price so that anybody could get in, because it really means something to us. And a percentage of our proceeds are going still to charity, as they always have. We're donating to Music Cares, a percentage of our proceeds as well. So it is, I don't know, I just feel like it's a really good conference for a really good cause. It's going to allow us to do future conferences as well that are going to be similarly driven. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of a no-brainer, isn't it?
Oh, well, first of all, being able to see this lineup as a member of the general public is almost unheard of. Because talent of this level is usually only in conferences for other voice teachers and voice professionals.
Yep.
So for singers and performers to be able to get this information, I've only seen it at your previous conferences where you open it up to everybody.
Yeah, that's always been. Yeah, that's been our mission from the get-go. We're creating a conference for voice users, not just doctors and therapists. I'm like, that exists. That's been covered. Who's talking to the people who are boots on the ground, who are utilizing this information in the most tangible way and who are putting their voices on the line? Don't they need this information more than anybody? One of the really exciting areas in voice that we're developing, Mindy and David Holmes are really working on this vocal body integration. So talking about how your whole body supports your vocal health. And that is, it's truly groundbreaking, but isn't that best delivered to the performer whose body that voice is in, So for us, it was always really critical to deliver the information to the people who use it, but use it practically and tangibly, right? Like I use the information, but not like that singer is going to. So another hallmark of our events is that you are leaving with real tools. Every teacher that we bring on, we say we need you to be able to convey something that voice user can take home as a tool that they can implement, that the vocal coach can bring into their studio to help their clients. It can't just be about information overload, because that's all then that it is. It's too much information with no practical application. So we've always really leaned hard on our teachers to give both. I'm sure you remember that. We did the same to you.
And, you're really, this is kind of the soapbox I get on a lot, but I'm a huge believer in singers being highly educated, hence the name of the podcast, The Intelligent Vocalist. And because there's, and this is a whole other topic, but this kind of sentiment of anti-science that's out there. And even with the politics of that and what's going on with the pandemic. And I do find that bleeds over into singers as well, that somehow this knowledge will get in the way of singing and get in the way of your talent and your expression. And for you, who spends your day seeing what the real world of singing does to human tissue and to the voice, do you see a difference between performers that are educated in science and vocal function versus singers who are going on their pure talent? And are the recovery rates different?
I mean, you just spoke right to my bias, so you know where I'm going. But literally could not agree more. I think you encapsulated it beautifully. It is exactly where this conference came from. I'm seeing injury in these young vocalists in my office 6 years ago. And I'm talking to them about, okay, well, this is how it works, as you know. And I'm getting these looks of, I don't know. And these are people in college in vocal performance. And that was like a huge light bulb moment for me. I'm like, they're not getting the information they need to protect themselves. So then it became, okay, I'm going to write a ton. I'm going to do what I can to give them this information. But you realize that you need it to come from a lot of different ways. And after the first conference, which was very, I believe you taught at that one too.
I did, yeah.
But after the first conference, which was very information focused, what I came to realize is that was still not going to close the deal for people, because you're exactly right. It's the same reason people hesitate to train. They think that somehow we're going to take their artistry from them, or that the more they know, the less authentic their voice is going to be. It's going to be encumbered by this knowledge of technique or this attendance to technique. And what I've actually found is that, number one, that technically adept artist is actually more free vocally. They're no longer scared that they're not going to be able to deliver. They know they're going to be able to deliver. It becomes muscle memory. It becomes second nature, and it frees them to explore more. So in their artistry blossoms. Then they also can do more because they are literally more healthy on that vocal cord level. And so now you're tapping into more, you have a better foundation to work from. And so the comfort increases and the skill, it goes off the charts. The next thing that kicks in is mindset, right? Because now their confidence is building, stage fright starts to go down, performance anxiety, and all the things that come with even substance abuse, truly, because a lot of the times the substances are ways to leverage creativity, or to sort of feel like, okay, I just got to boost this, or I got to inhibit that fear response. So I'm going to do these things to do so. But when the fear goes away, that reliance also decreases, dramatically. And they see the real impact on their vocal cords when they do that, right? So it just becomes this really virtuous cycle. And absolutely, some of these people come in injured. Some of them get injured anyway, despite all this knowledge. That's the nature of being an athlete of the voice. But what that means too is that we catch it much sooner. They catch it sooner. They come to attention sooner because they're not scared. And as you said, they rehabilitate in this much time. I mean, it is so abbreviated because they are empowered with this knowledge of what to do. And early injury always heals faster. So it is, like I said, you encapsulated the mindset perfectly with your questions. These fields need to talk to each other. Voice science needs to talk to vocal coaches, needs to talk to vocal therapists, needs to talk to surgeons and doctors. It is such a no-brainer. And the fact that it doesn't happen regularly is such a disservice to the artist. But the more the artist advocates for themselves to create that circle of that team, the less anybody can get away with not leveraging that circle, right? And so it is on the artist too to come to these kinds of conferences and say, okay, you're not going to advocate for my best interest. I'm going to get every piece of knowledge I can, and no one's going to catch me sideways.
I almost jumped up and cheered at moments during your
speech.
Your wonderful speech. Oh my gosh. It was like preach.
I mean, that's how your question felt to me. So good. Good. Connections.
There's something, look, singing and performance is magical. But when you learn about how it works, it doesn't take the magic away.
Correct. I'll tell you a really humbling story. I came to this line of work as somebody who has loved singing my whole life. I found my singing voice in 7th grade. This elementary school teacher, I still remember her name, Miss Valerie Lettieri, if she happens to be listening. She's now Valerie O'Brien. I remember she got married when I was in school. But she helped me find my singing voice, and it became a real love of mine. You know, I grew up in an immigrant household. I always knew I was going to go into medicine, 2 physician parents. I loved helping people in that way. I would volunteer in my dad's office. So medicine was a no-brainer. It was a guarantee for me. But I really had this door open for me in elementary school, and I sang my whole education life because of her and because of that passion that she helped drive for me. That led me to finding the field of laryngology when I was in medical school, because I was, in awe of finding a field that would let me take care of performers. And I always just continued to sing so that I could tap into that part of myself. And I don't know if you happen to see that as part of this project that Mindy and I are launching, we wanted to put money back into artists' pockets directly. We wanted to bring music back. So we self-funded a vocal production. We got this incredible piece of music called The Distance You Have Come from Scott Allen. We hired 30-something singers to perform on it. We're like, these are singers who don't have any performance money coming in right now. We will pay them. We will make beautiful music. We will connect this world again through music. And early on, Mindy's like, well, why don't you sing on it? She's like, you sing. And she's like, people would love to see you sing. And I mean, even talking about it, my palms just started sweating. But I said, you know what, let me give it a go. And I will tell you humbly and honestly, I was a little heartbroken. I was like, wow, this is what my voice sounds like right now. After this many years of not training, I care so deeply about it. I take care of singers all the time. I've not invested in my own singing voice. And so because I was listening to the recording before I sent it to her, because I'm not crazy. And it was a really fantastic moment for me, honestly, because it did motivate me. I was like, I did have talent. I do have talent. That's not all it takes. I have talent and passion. And if that's all it took, I would be on stage right now, or my voice would be on that production, right? But it's not, because I'm like, that's not a high quality performance. And the difference between talent and passion and a high quality performance is training, education, and investment in your instruments. So I raise up my vocal coaches, above me. I'm like, that's what you need.
Well said. Speaking of information and training, when is the forum, the voice forum?
May 14th through May 17th. We put it in chunks of time, 9 to 1 p.m., 9 a.m., 1 p.m.
And it's essentially, even though it's pre-recorded, there's going to be Q&A?
Yeah. So essentially the schedule that you would see is in Pacific Standard Time. That is when everything will launch for the first time. All that pre-recorded content will be available at the scheduled time. And I think every speaker at this point will tune in live for a Q&A in the last 15 minutes of their session. All of it will be recorded, including the Q&A, so that if you are 8 hours ahead of us, you can tune in at the following day in your morning, and you will still get all the content. The one thing you do miss out on is maybe you won't get a question of yours asked and answered, but otherwise you've got access to the whole thing.
And it essentially functions as a live event in that the material will only be available for a limited time.
Correct. You're going to have to tune in on conference dates plus 1 or 2 days so that people can catch up. But yeah, in that way, it functions like a live event. It was our kind of preferred way to help get our speakers on board to give their content so graciously.
Yeah. So just to explain to everybody, it's not going to be available as a download or be available for weeks going forward. And that's primarily because you have so many speakers coming in, and it got changed at the last minute so quickly that there's intellectual property concerns that you didn't want to wrestle with, because you have such high level talent coming to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's only, I'm sorry, I was just going to do the pitch here. It's only $195 for all 4 days. Yeah.
I mean, again, we cut it deeply. I mean, there's costs even with a virtual event. So we cut it deep, deep, deep. But the reality is anymore, and we're not even able to charitably donate the way we want to. It's this kind of content is so it's so valuable. I mean, truly, like I look at that, I'm like, that should be the cost for a day, $200. But we really wanted everybody to be able to access this. We know times are tough right now. And this is really about delivering high quality education to the people who need it with that charitable give back. Those are our missions.
So you can go to Voice Conference or Voice Forum Conference, is it?
That's right. voiceforumconference.com. We're all over social media. You can follow me at Reena Gupta, MD. I'm posting wildly about it. Mindy is at Mindy Pack as well. We are, we're hard not to find. That's my claim to fame. You'll find us online, but it's www.voiceforumconference.com.
Fantastic. Dr. Gupta, thank you so much for joining us today.
John, thank you so much for having me. It's always a fun chat with you.
Hey, if you want to know more about me, please visit my website, johnhenny.com, and be sure to subscribe to my email list. You will be the first to know when my new book and new singing course are released. I am hard at work on those, but they are coming in the somewhat near future. So you can be the first to know and get in on special pricing, get access to the book early, etc. Also, you can sign up for my free warm-up course. I show you how to warm up through a straw. It's right there on the front page. And you can still get free access to my piano for voice teachers course. Absolutely free. This course was previously $147. It is now available for free. And if you sign up, you have access ongoing. Your access is not for a limited time. And speaking of time, until next time, to better singing. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.